Okay, everyone. Thank you for attending the 2019-2020 ACSM President's Cup Awards ceremony. This is normally not a separate ceremony from the competition, but obviously things have not been as of normal this ACSM annual meeting. And so as a result of the ACSM annual meeting no longer being in person, we had to modify some aspects of the ACSM President's Cup. So before we kind of get into the rest of the ceremony, I just wanted to give a little bit of background on the ACSM President's Cup and recognize some individuals who have helped get this created, particularly with this new format on a virtual format, as well as those who have helped conduct the judging sessions for the competition itself. And then, of course, the main purpose of the ceremony to recognize all of our participants, which are essentially all of the individuals who won their regional chapter level competition and then participated in the national level competition. So with that, as some just background explanatory information, my name is David Cornell. I am the current chair of the Student Affairs Committee of the American College of Sports Medicine. Our Student Affairs Committee, our mission of our Student Affairs Committee is to create numerous different types of programming for ACSM student members. Most of that is tied to the ACSM annual meetings, the national conference, as well as coordination amongst the different ACSM regional chapters. One of the prime examples of that is the ACSM President's Cup competition. This competition is in now its 5th year of existence on a national level. But it was essentially founded out of an idea that happened in the Texas chapter. And so the Texas regional chapter president at the time, Dr. Jim Fluckey, developed an idea with one of our past chairs of this committee to create a national level competition. And the idea being each regional chapter holds a competition for students presenting information, so their abstract presentations at each regional chapter level conference. And each chapter crowns a winner, so to speak. And then the national office provides a stipend to each of those regional chapter winners to attend the ACSM annual meeting to compete on a national level. So think of it as like a tournament of champions kind of idea. And so this is still a relatively new competition on a nationwide scale like this. It's grown each year. It's grown in publicity each year. And this year we had another wrench thrown into it, obviously with the COVID-19 situation. And so this year we worked to actually move it virtually online. Unfortunately, a couple of regional chapters did not have their regional chapter meetings in the 2019-2020 calendar year or ACSM annual meeting year cycle, also due to the COVID-19 situation. So we did not have all 12 regional chapters participate this year, unfortunately, but we still had 9. And so all 9 chapters that had crowned a winner, all of those winners participated in the competition. And we were really happy about that. This wasn't something we wanted to cancel. It wasn't something we wanted to push off. All of these students from all the regional chapters had done a great job winning their regional level competitions, and we thought they should be recognized as such. So we were able to work together with the ACSM National Office and various regional chapter members and leaders to put this together in a virtual format. So those of you in attendance right now aren't seeing the actual competition. The actual competition took place last week. All 9 participants presented their abstracts in a PowerPoint fashion. So they had 5 minutes to present their findings, and then they had 5 minutes to answer anything from easy to very difficult questions from our panel of judges. And then they were scored appropriately. And then we essentially tallied up those scores amongst ourselves here on the committee. And then now we are ready to present the winner. And that's essentially what this award celebration is. And so to provide some additional further context, it is called the ACSM President's Cup competition. And so the last few years, we've been successful in either having the current ACSM president available to present the award to the winner, which consists of a plaque, as well as a $300 cash prize. Since we can't be in person, we are going to do it through this virtual ceremony as well. We are fortunate to also have who would be the current ACSM president if this took place in person. He is now considered the ACSM past president, but Dr. Bill Kraus was kind enough to be in attendance for today, so we will still able to have that aspect of the ACSM President's Cup, even though it is in a virtual environment. Before I go any further, I wanted to recognize a few other individuals. And so perhaps most importantly, Heather Turner, who is the ACSM staff liaison to the Student Affairs Committee. She is the one that put together this webinar, has been running essentially everything behind the scenes in regards to this competition and coordinating publicity of this competition and other different logistical aspects. So thank you, Heather Turner. Another individual that I wanted to recognize, and she'll speak more towards the end of this ceremony, is Carrie Vassold, who has been a member of the Student Affairs Committee for several years, but is now recently, as of June 1st, transitioned into the new student rep for the Board of Trustees. And she's had a hand in almost every aspect of the Student Affairs Committee, and now is going to have a hand in almost all the aspects of student programming in ACSM as a whole. And so she'll speak more a little bit later on some of those topics. And then I also wanted to recognize Emily Betke, who is a member of the Student Affairs Committee. I don't believe she was able to get on this ceremony call due to other obligations, but she played a large role in collating a lot of the information. So one aspect of putting this together requires getting information from all of the regional chapters and compiling it and organizing it and turn it into like a pretty program manual and things like that. She played a large role in doing that. And so just a shout out to Emily as well. And then the next individuals that I wanted to make sure to recognize are our judges. And so we had a panel of 5 judges that judged each of the presenters on criteria. So ranging from the actual science of the presentation to if it matches the mission of ACSM to just presentation aspects. So are the slides clear? Is the presenter confident and poised? Everything from that. And those 5 judges included Jim Fluckey, as to recognize the fact that he played a large role in even creating this competition. We were happy to have him involved as a judge. From Texas A&M. We also had Catherine Gammon from Eastern Michigan University, Kyle Ebersol from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Sue Graves from Florida Atlantic University, who has been a long supporter of our Student Affairs Committee. And then we also had a student judge, and it's for the quote unquote long history, 5-year history, we've been fortunate enough to always have a student judge on the judging panel as well from our Student Affairs Committee. And this year that was Nate Bachman from Colorado State University. So once again, thank you to those 5 judges for your time and effort in making this event possible. From there, I wanted to take some time to recognize our regional chapter winners. And so all 9 of those individuals are on the call today. And so once again, I want to reiterate, all of these individuals already won their regional chapter level competition. And so there's obviously prestige with that. On top of that, because we weren't able to utilize the stipend that would assist these individuals to attend the annual meeting, because the annual meeting was obviously canceled, we're still recognizing these individuals through a $100 cash payment. So all 9 of these individuals are already winners, and now we're just going to crown a tournament of champions. But to just recognize those individuals, I wanted to go through them through the regional chapters. And so first up, we have Madeline Amos from the Central States Regional Chapter. Madeline is from the University of Arkansas. Her faculty mentor is Dr. Nicholas Green. The title of her presentation was Oxidative Metabolism During the Time Course of Disuse Atrophy in Male and Female Mice. From the Greater New York Chapter, we have Andrew Irwin. Andrew is a student at Columbia University in the College of Physicians and Surgeons. His faculty mentor was Dr. Amy Layton, and his presentation was titled Adherence to Telemedicine Exercise Program in Patients with Cystic Fibrosis Awaiting Lung Transplant. From the Mid-Atlantic Regional Chapter, we have Michelle DeGata. Michelle is a student at the University of Delaware, under the mentorship of Dr. Melissa Whitman. Her presentation was titled Potential Racial Disparity in Peripheral Vascular Function, Regardless of Menstrual Cycle Phase. The winner from the Midwest Regional Chapter was Alyssa Pollard McGrandy. Melissa is a student at Wayne State University, and her faculty mentor for this project was Tamara Hugh Butler. Her presentation was entitled Acute Changes in Sweat Sodium Chloride and Bone Mineral Density Following 45 Minutes of Treadmill Running. Our winner from the New England Regional Chapter was Michelle Steeman. Michelle is now a student at Springfield College, and her faculty mentor on this project was Dr. Sandra Folks-Goddick. The title of her presentation was Comparing Physiological Differences Between Sexes Drinking to Thirst versus Drinking to a Generic Schedule. The winner from the Northwest Regional Chapter was Alejandro Rosales. Alejandro is a student at the University of Montana under the mentorship of Dr. Brent Ruby. Alejandro's presentation was entitled Exogenous Fluid Delivery Schedule and Composition on Fluid Balance and Substrate Use in the Heat. The winner from the Southeast Regional Chapter was Emily Heiston. Emily is a student at the University of Virginia under the mentorship of Dr. Stephen Malin. The title of her presentation was Pre-Diabetes Phenotype Does Not Exacerbate Microvascular Insulin Sensitivity in Metabolic Syndrome. The winner from the Southwest Regional Chapter was Ashley Tovar. Ashley is a student at the University of California, Davis. Her faculty mentor is Nancy Keim. Her presentation was entitled The Effects of 4 Weeks of Time Restrictive Feeding on Exercise Performance, Metabolism, and Recovery in Competitive Male Runners. And lastly, from the Texas Regional Chapter, we have Jane Cloud. Jane is a student at the University of Texas at Arlington under the mentorship of Dr. Paul Fadel. The title of her presentation was Exploring the Potential Role of Family History of Hypertension on Racial Differences in Sympathetic Vascular Transduction. And so before we move on to the process of announcing our winners, I want to just once again congratulate all of 9 of these individuals. Each of you have already won a regional chapter competition. You should be very, very proud of that aspect. And also thank you for participating in this new virtual format of the ACSM President's Cup competition. This was obviously a little bit last minute and was difficult to put together and not possible without all of your flexibility. So thank you, and everyone just please, a virtual round of applause for our 9 winners from the regional chapters. And so with that, I guess the big moment, I would like to turn it over to now past ACSM president, but Dr. Bill Kraus. He will announce our 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place winners of the ACSM President's Cup competition. Take it away, Bill.
Yes, first of all, I wanted to congratulate all the champions, because you are all champions at your regional center. You made it to the top locally. I was provided with all the abstracts of your presentations, and they are all outstanding. I also want to thank you for having me, which is actually the last official act of my presidency, even though I'm immediate past president. So that's very fitting. What day is this normally held on, actually, at the annual meeting, Heather?
So it's actually, if you can hear me, Bill, it's actually typically the Thursday afternoon, late afternoon during the meeting.
Okay, so that would be close to my last official
Yes.
duty, since that would normally have ended on Friday evening. So we're actually not off track here that much. So I'm happy to announce the winners. I will do it from 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place. So the 3rd place winner whose title is Adherence to Telemedicine Exercise Program in Patients with Cystic Fibrosis Awaiting Lung Transplant, would be Andrew Irwin from the Greater New York chapter. The second place winner, whose title is Prediabetes Phenotype Does Not Exacerbate Microvascular Insulin Sensitivity and Metabolic Syndrome, would be Emily Heiston from the Southeast chapter. Go Southeast. And the first place winner, whose title is Exploring the Potential Role of Family History of Hypertension on Racial Differences in Sympathetic Vascular Transduction, would be Jane Cloud from the Texas chapter. So congratulations to these winners of the President's Cup. And thank you again for participating and for all your excellent work. I look forward to hearing about your work as you go forward in your careers.
Thank you, Dr. Kraus, for presenting that. Again, normally we have a great photo opportunity of the ACSM president presenting the plaque and the always awkward photo handshake. Now we'll just substitute it for the awkward Zoom snapshot of that recipient of that celebration. But as a note, Jane, you will receive a plaque in the mail. We'll get that out to you, as well as your $300 check for winning this national level competition. Beyond that, I don't see Jane on my screen, but congratulations, Jane. I also just wanted to note that now that we've had several years of this competition, we have enough history to basically pit the regional chapters against each other. Right now, the Texas regional chapter is the back-to-back champion of this competition. They won it last year as well. And what I think is even more interesting and impressive is that the last two champions now have actually been undergraduate students. And so this is a competition to all students from undergraduate all the way up to PhD and MD. But the last two winners from the Texas chapter have been undergraduates, which is even more impressive considering all of the competition that's involved in this event. So congrats to Jane as well as the Texas chapter. And so with that, the last of this ceremony, I wanted to turn it over to Carrie Vassold, who I previously introduced, but Carrie is now the new student representative on the Board of Trustees. And we do other programming besides the ACSM President's Cup competition on this committee, as well as ACSM as a whole, as certainly a large initiative geared towards students. And if anything, it's actually becoming even more of an initiative moving forward. And she was just going to take a moment to share some thoughts and introduce herself, because I think it's important for everyone to remember that she's essentially the voice of the students on the Board of Trustees. And so I think it's important for people to understand who she is. So take it away, Carrie.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to introduce myself in a new position, as Dave said, as the student trustee on the Board of Trustees. And a couple things before I talk a little bit more about the work that the Student Affairs Committee does. As a few concluding remarks to wrap our session up today, I want to congratulate all of the competitors. It's a really great honor to have your work highlighted at the national level like this, as you've moved on from the regional up to the national level with the President's Cup competition. And congratulations to our winner, Jane. It's all just a great achievement as a student to have your work highlighted at such a high level. I also want to re-thank all of our judges and Dr. Kraus for being with us today to announce our winners. And thanks to Dave, he left himself off, but Dave Cornell does a really great job and a lot of work organizing many events in addition to the President's Cup competition. And again, Heather, our staff liaison, for making this such a seamless event for us this year, even though we are doing it virtually. So before going, I do want to express on behalf of the Student Affairs Committee and myself as the student trustee that we look forward every year to bringing great opportunities to the students of ACSM. We've already begun planning our annual meeting 2021 sessions. So some things to watch out include some really great student colloquium speakers, as well as an awesome lineup for our pre-conference session. That usually happens on Tuesday at the annual meeting. So keep that in mind as you're planning your travel when we go to Washington, D.C. next year. And we hope to continue to bring different opportunities to the students throughout the course of the year in networking and professional development from now until then. If you have ideas or questions or thoughts that you want to share with me or with the Student Affairs Committee, you are always free to reach out to me personally, to connect to us through ACSM. We also have a Facebook page that's pretty popular to send us questions and connect with us that way, because we're here to support the students of ACSM, and we all really enjoy doing that and hosting events and opportunities for you that hopefully you find beneficial as well. So if you have comments, suggestions, anything, always feel free to reach out to me. I really enjoy participating and supporting ACSM students in this way. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dave to finish up our session.
Thanks, Carrie. Similar to like everybody had mentioned, just congratulations once again. This event is already looking, now that we have turned the page on 2019-2020, we're already gearing up for 2020-2021 with this event as well. Those of you in particular from chapters that have conferences in the fall, I'm sure your abstract deadlines and other things are already fast approaching. Please pass information along about your experience and about this event. We're hoping to continuously have it grow. Each regional chapter, the hope is that this event can also grow the amount of student presentations at regional chapter meetings themselves, because it's a really great incentive for students to participate in the regional chapter level. They might be able to win and get a trip out to the national conference, which is, funding is always difficult to get out to those conferences. So please help us promote it and share it with your other friends and colleagues in the labs. And those of you who are faculty on the call, please keep it in mind for your future students as well. And so with that, thank you all for attending this ceremony. Hopefully we see each other in person at other future regional chapters, and then of course in Washington, DC next year. Thank you.